And for those of you who are new, I'm Karen Klassen, and I'm here every Monday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time to give you an opportunity to connect, support each other, and really remind you that you're not alone. These calls are also to inspire you to get involved in what we are all co-creating here at Life Force Canada. So what we're doing is we are planning for the future with our restoration plan and preparing for anything that life brings us in the meantime. We cannot change what our ancestors have done, but we can change what the future will look like. So how our Monday calls work is I offer some inspiration, then we have a topic of discussion, and then a Q&A, an open forum. And after the Q&A, then I offer a 10-minute meditation because it's really important to have a daily mindful practice. If you have yet to sign up on our Life Force Canada website, I do recommend it, lifeforcecanada.ca. And if you've been with us for a while, please share the website. There's an amazing introductory video that Dwayne has created on that site as well. And it just really shows you what we're really all about and what the focus is. As you know, we are stepping out of this corrupt Luciferian government system, and we are not fixing the system. We just don't need a government. We are self-governing. We are stepping into creating plan councils for every town and city across our amazing, beautiful nation. And if you have no desire to be on a council, then you can definitely join one of our 9 powerful think tanks that we have every week. If you signed up through the website, you'll definitely be receiving an email that links you to all the different 9 pillars, and there's a Zoom link for each one. We do have, just as an update, our health and wellness think tank has changed. It's not going to be on Wednesdays anymore. Natasha has decided to focus on their committee in Ontario. And so Cecile has gratefully accepted the leadership role in facilitating the health and wellness on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. I do believe that is Pacific Standard Time. You'll definitely be receiving an email. I'll send it out tomorrow morning to everybody. That will be a powerful think tank to be in if that is what you're passionate about. And our last call, well, last Monday, we talked about our council committees, and Kirsten shared, she's from the Plan Council BC. She shared how our council committees are offering a structure, support, and a focused action plan. So each committee is designed to really focus on the needs of the sovereigns within each town, city, region, within each province. Each committee listed will be the task force in assessing and implementing the projects that are funneled through the 9 think tanks. So we're in the process of forming a national committee as well. And again, these committees are not the decision makers like what we have in the system today. It is the people who are going to be the decision makers, the people in your town, in your community. A self-governing system. So it's a new social structure that we are going to be stepping into based on natural law. Do no harm to others. It's very, very exciting. And we'll be having more conversations in the future about natural law and what it really means to be sovereign. Okay, so let's all take a deep breath in of that life force energy that sustains us. Okay. Now, yes, Terry, I did hear about the Ontario Emergency Act no longer is in effect as of June 9th. I know that extension requested by Premier Doug Ford was revoked. Funny that the media, though, and the government is really not telling anybody about it. It's crazy. So what I want to do right now is I want to just share what is coming up in regards to people that I am connecting with. I'm receiving some emails and some messages about so many people feeling the fear. How many of you are feeling stress or anxiety about the future? Maybe some fears of uncertainty coming up for you. I know that I have mentioned this before, but it's a really good visual. You can see that or not. So this is where what we experience below the line is our fear. So fear is all the emotions, stress, anxiety. We can experience sadness, anger, depression, and all of these energies, if we do not look at them, if we do not look at our fears, then they will create that toxic energy in our body. So we're here to live above the line. And the way to do that is through the heart. And I find that there's so many people, yes, Marie, feeling uncertainty about the future. It's really important, if you are feeling stress, anxiety, fear, to talk about it. Again, I'm going to be offering a meditation at the end of this call. It's really important to talk about your fears, to talk about how you're feeling with a friend or someone that you trust, a family member. Right now, it's so key. You don't want to keep that energy stuck inside of you. And we're here to really learn how to relieve our fears. So right now, it's really important to prepare ourselves mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as we, walk through this maze that we're moving through. And if you're being challenged mentally, having those fearful thoughts about the future, the best way to dissolve those fears, of course, as I mentioned, is meditation, talking about them, and also realizing that those fears are just a voice in your head, and there can be a problem within your consciousness that your higher self wants you to look at. So we're looking at the problem, and then we want to look at what the solution can be. So I'm here to share some solutions about the voices in your head that may be saying, okay, there is a food shortage possibly coming our way. And this is where the imagination, the mind, can go to the furthest end of the spectrum. And we need to have those discussions 100%. We cannot ignore that. It's out there in the ether, it's out there in the energetic field. And it's really important to have these discussions, even though they may make you feel uncomfortable. So when we have a plan and we take action on it, it relieves you energetically. So I just wanted to bring up a few fears that are coming up for people and what we can do about it. Okay, so for example, if you have a worst case scenario about the food shortage, and there's a lot of talk right now about food shortages, the supply chain being corrupted. If we look at Lytton, yes, the fire in Lytton, premeditated, yes. Coincidence that Dr. Huff actually lived there and had his medical practice there, and was bringing some very important information forward in regards to the V. But yes, so now CN Railway is talking about shutting down the track. So it's really important to become aware of these fears within your own being. And this is a conversation that we've had. If you've been on our food and supply call that we have on Thursdays, on Fridays at noon, Mountain Standard Time. But right now we are reminding people, and Thomas from Medicine Hat is always sharing this: plan for the best, prepare for the worst. And so it's a really good time to be preparing and making sure you have food and water supply. Some are saying 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. If your home is too small, you live in an apartment, create a plan with a friend or neighbor, someone that you trust. As we are dependent on food or supplies on a system that does not really want us here, we need to prepare ourselves. We need to be ready for anything. And so this is really important to have that conversation and what that looks like. If you want to have more information on what you need to prepare, join us on Friday at noon. Financially, if there is a financial crisis or crash, many people will maybe lose 50% of their investments. This is really something you need to think about with your family. This will not be like a past, like any past stock market crash, they're saying. This would be like an Agenda 2030 type crash. And we have no idea what that looks like. So many people right now are buying gold and silver. They're getting out of the fiat system. I'm not here to tell you what to invest in at all. I'm going to repeat that. I'm not here to tell you what to invest in. Just listen to your own inner wisdom. All I know is what others are doing right now. And we don't know how long this corrupt system is going to extend itself until us as sovereigns or the Kim's system takes over. So we do not want to take action from a place of fear. It can be, remember, fear can be designed as a motivator to move you forward. So fear is not a bad thing in and of itself. We're also talking about creating muster points. So we're calling out to everyone within LifeFirst Canada to create muster points in your town or your community with other members or your family, friends, or those you align with. Muster points are really places that you can go in case of an emergency. Look at the people in Linton, fire, right? So this is really important to, just prepare yourself because we don't know what's going to be happening. So the best is for a group to gather at someone's house, a place that you can go to if the power goes out, if there's an alien invasion. Just kidding. When you establish a muster point, it brings just a great sense of emotional relief, knowing that there's someone that you can count on, friends who have your back. So in Calgary, my home is a muster point. I do believe Sandra's offering her home as a muster point. So we're going to need one or two in Calgary anyway, because Calgary is a big place. We're going to need one or two in every section of a city. So it just depends on where you live as well. And home, this is where you need to talk about here if you own a home. If you live on your own, you're going to need to figure out what you're going to do if chaos happens. Having a backup plan is going to be really key. As you know, in the Agenda 2030 plan, no one has a home. And so if you have that fear in your mind, you need to talk about these fears. And if you're not able to talk to anybody, get a journal, pen, and start writing everything out that you are afraid of. The negative future that you might be projecting out. It's important to write it all down. It's called a mind dump. Getting it out on paper is really, really key. And so when you have a plan, again, there's a sense of relief. And this is going to be really important to make sure that you have this sense of knowing that what we're moving through right now, as we shift into different levels of consciousness, there is a detachment that is taking place. So we are learning to let go of everything that does not serve us. This does not mean escaping or running away. We're not here to escape. We're here to deal with everything that's alive inside of us and to learn what's coming up for you in the moment. So again, whether you have a home, what is it that you can do? What is it that you want to do? What comes up for you and your beloved? Having those conversations is really, really powerful. And also too, we're talking about having a freedom bag or whatever you want to call it, bug-out bag in your vehicle, especially if there is a power outage, electromagnetic pulse that happens. If you're traveling in your car, even if your tire blows, having a bag you know, filled with supplies like a pair of runners, blanket, some food, water, hat, whatever you think that you can carry. Having this bag in your vehicle is going to, again, bring you a sense of relief and knowing that you're prepared for anything. And so it's important. Fuel prices are increasing. Again, it's like, what can we do here in Canada? We need to do what they did in Germany. Fuel was so high that everyone in just 1 hour of time, they abandoned their cars on all the main roadways in the streets, and they all walked home, forcing the government to lower their prices. So when the people are smart, the corrupt can't really accomplish their goals. So we're really stepping into what it means to be prepared. Kirk, what is it? Totalprepare.ca. I haven't checked that out, so thank you. Totalprepare.ca. And so, yeah, on our food and supply call, we talk about the different food supplements, superfoods that you need to have in your home. That's a really powerful think tank. Okay. I'll just give you a moment to digest that. We'll just take another deep breath in. Yes, backup chocolates. You're thinking, I love it. Okay, so today we're going to have an open forum. We're going to be discussing a documentary. I'm going to be playing a documentary. It's called We Must Grow. It is an hour long. I'm only going to be sharing a 10-minute segment. There's some of you that have seen the documentary. There's quite a few who have yet to see it. It's up to us to create a new social structure. So we're going to be talking about the future of our food supply. We're empowering all Canadians in every province to make sure that it's the province now only. Every province is going to supplying its own food for the people of that province. We're letting go of being dependent on everything outside of our province. So we can actually grow anything here. There is powerful systems and structures that we can put into place. So as a society, we should have never had to pay for food. Food should have been free and natural. We should have never had to pay for energy or anything, right? So instead of me stating the obvious, I have this powerful documentary. I'm just going to set it up here.
Things grow at exponential rates. They're not linear. And if they're going to fail, they fail exponentially as well. They collapse. Our top priority right now is to repair the soil. Can't go on that way. We'll all just wind up dying.
If we stay on our course, we could look at a worldwide catastrophe.
In the United States, we're losing soil at 10 times the rate it takes to regenerate it.
We have plenty of civilizations over the course of time that didn't get that right. And so our challenge is, how do we make sure that we're not one of them?
We're still in kind of an extraction mentality, where it's what it costs us to bring it out of the earth. It's not what the earth has paid to get it in. We need to start shifting from a death-based or a harvest-based mentality into a life-based economy.
Industrial agriculture says we have to go with these machine-intensive, chemical-intensive means of producing food, and that is a false dichotomy.
The more you pay for biodiversity, the more you pay for the soil, the more food you actually grow.
The issue we're facing right now is two different futures.
You cannot feed the world from dead soil.
Then the ecosystem begins to unravel.
Things are collapsing everywhere. Food essentially has no nutrients in it these days. People know that it's hurting people. People know that it's harming the environment, and they do it anyway.
We got to stop focusing on the problem and start focusing on the solution.
Not one single solution that's going to solve every problem, but many, many small solutions that collectively will actually lead to a societal shift.
But it takes the will of the people. And I think that time is coming.
It didn't take very long for us to tear the soil apart, to tear it down. We need an equal solution the inverse of that to build it back up again. So what we've tried to do here is to take natural biological processes and accelerate the regeneration of soil. Something that would normally take decades or a few hundred years, we can do in a matter of hours or days.
I'm just going to fast forward it here.
And we're an energy company too, with food as energy. So I have the same problem you do, is saying, can we scale? And who's going to stop us from scaling? Big picture concerns that down the road, big ag's going to pound on me. Say, yeah, that's just getting a little bit out of hand right there. And how do we hide out in Montana and all these niche areas that'll defend our power plants, and we can distribute the power without getting, squashed? Because we're all about taking it back. This new compound that's coming off the green powerhouse is a very powerful root stimulator, which means that it's a very powerful natural fertilizer. So this ought to be fun. Here we are, look at this, look at that power plant. Wow, middle of Montana. Who would guess? The biodome, wow. All right, I already want one.
I believe it's a game changer. What the algae and the biochar together do is literally rejuvenate, revitalize, and remake soil. And I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. So, Michael Smith, this is Eric Cotter.
Eric Cutter, nice to meet you. Pleased to meet you as well. I'm a biochemist and oncologist by training. I grow food and I'm a chef. And so I started playing around with this stuff and I called Ken and said, Ken, where'd you get this stuff?
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Michael is an extraordinary visionary. He was the visionary behind the company, even though it had several founders.
We discovered that the waste usually occurs when you short circuit natural processes. You take carbon where it does the most good and you put it where it does the most damage. The rate that we're pushing the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere just overwhelms the planet's ability to capture. Because we're trying to emulate something that nature is doing, and nature is inherently complex.
You realize that there's a billion microbes in this piece of soil the size of your little finger.
Oh yeah.
And we think we know it all. I mean, we can go to the moon, but we have no idea what's going on with those billion microbes.
And what we're doing now, of course, are killing those microbes in the soil.
And we don't even know what we're killing and what ratios we're offsetting.
It's one of the battles that we're fighting against standard fertilizing concepts.
Right.
If I were to start a fertilizer company and I wanted just to maximize my profits and didn't care about anything else, what a great strategy, right? You put it on one year, you get a good growth. The next year, the growth's not so good, so you have to add a little more. And then you add a little more, and pretty soon you've completely destroyed your soil. So we discovered, well, how can we integrate these components together to bring those cycles back into balance again? Well, the answer's been with us forever, right? All we had to do is open our eyes and look around.
Why don't we go in and see what you guys have created?
We'll go talk to the dragon.
What Michael calls the dragon is a state-of-the-art pyrolysis machine. When biomass like wood waste enters the dragon, it's heated close to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The absence of oxygen prevents combustion, leaving behind a stable carbon structure, similar to charcoal. The extracted energy runs the entire green powerhouse off-grid, while creating enough excess electricity to meet the needs of roughly 100 homes. It would take over 3 acres of solar panels to accomplish this.
So the electricity is not our main product. We call that our waste byproduct.
Utility companies are going to love that one. Our waste byproduct is electricity.
This is 9,000-year-old technology, is to make this biochar. Our ancestors knew how to do this to fertilize the soil, and we've just reformatted it for the 21st century. It's pores within pores within pores.
Biochar is a form of extremely stable carbon, with exponential pores creating massive surface area in a tiny space. Just a 2-inch piece of biochar, if unfolded, would have the surface area the size of a football field. This structure is an optimal breeding ground for beneficial soil microbes, holding both water and nutrients where plant roots need them most.
It also creates space for air to get in,
And the soil
for
microbes.
to get in. So all that stuff that is an essential component to the web gets recreated. You're putting back into the soil the infrastructure for soil regeneration.
Without the dragon, this waste would end up in a landfill, releasing greenhouse gases as it decomposed. Instead, biochar locks this stable carbon back underground for hundreds or even thousands of years. Biochar is emerging as one of the planet's best solutions to climate change. One green powerhouse, or GPH, stabilizes over 1 ton of carbon every day. It takes roughly 50,000 trees to do the same.
They're fixing carbon.
And fixing carbon.
Pulling it out of the atmosphere and putting it back where it belongs.
2 billion years of engineering experience. We include the algae into that. So I mentioned
Incredible. I'll be sharing the link later on. It's an amazing documentary, but I wanted to share that. I saw that a few weeks ago. And because we're all so energetically connected, Tanis sent me an email and she had already saw the documentary and said, Karen, I want to bring this to Whitecourt. And not only that, Alan was thinking about it as well. So there's been quite a few people who've been talking about this incredible technology. And it was funny because what is it? What is it called now? It's not called the Green Powerhouse anymore, Tanis. Michael has changed the name.
To Earth Power Lodge.
Power Lodge, great, good.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, Tanis reached out to Grant Kelby here in Calgary, and Alan has already reached out to Michael, I do believe, as well. Grant, you're here.
Go. Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Grant, oh my God, this is so amazing.
Crazy, isn't it? Holy smokes.
How have you been?
Good. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Everyone, I just want you to know that Grant here is the creator of Harvey the Hound many years ago.
Many years ago.
Many years ago, yes. And so, Tanis, I would love for you to just share how you met Grant and how you were introduced.
Oh, sure. I was so impressed by as I knew it as the GPH, that I knew this was going to be something that would work very well in our town because of, we have like a sawmill, like a huge sawmill. We have a pulp and paper plant. We have a dump that really needs to be cleaned up. We have lots of small sawmills and everything too. So I reached out to Michael via LinkedIn. That's the only place I could find him. And he said, please talk to Grant Kelba. And so we connected also on LinkedIn. And we had a phone call that lasted about 45, 50 minutes. And I had 2 pages of questions. And he was very gracious and answered all of them very well. And it's just so exciting. And Grant is actually coming out this way at the end of the month. And I'm looking forward to meeting him and maybe possibly looking at some sites. We can just take a look at what's available and see what's the best one to move forward with. So that's all I can say about that, about my first meetings with grants. Thank you, Karen.
Wonderful, Tanis, thank you. And again, that documentary is We Must Grow. Ocean Robbins is the creator of the food revolution. I do believe that it was being offered for free for a certain length of time, maybe 7 days, and then you had to buy it. So I just purchased it. I can send the link out to anybody, and if it works, great, awesome. I'll put the link in the chat for you. Now, if anyone has questions, I want you to just click on the reactions button and then just raise your hand as we move forward. I do believe that this project would be just something really powerful to bring to Canada and not just to Whitecourt. I know that Thomas and Robin are looking at it in Medicine Hat as well. And Alan has been talking about it too. So I would love to have a conversation about this. The Dragon is just a phenomenal piece of technology. So Grant, I just would love to hear how you discovered Michael and what inspired you to get involved.
Yes, thank you, Karen. It's nice to see you again. It's been a number of years.
Oh my God, love it.
Yeah, I was initially introduced to Michael Smith in Whitefish way back in 2012 when an associate or a common friend asked me to join Michael to help bring this to Canada because he understood that we had a biomass problem. And of course we did at the time, but in 2012, everything was oil and gas and drumming up idea or investment or interest in a project that was being developed in Whitefish, Montana at the time that wasn't quite market ready was a little difficult. So we promised at that time to stay in touch. I have been to the original Green Powerhouse dozens of times. Michael and I have worked on this since, like I said, 2012. Michael's an absolute genius. I've never met a man who could recite so many interesting and deeply researched subjects in my life. And I remember asking him one time, Michael, how do you know all of this stuff? And he's like, well, anyone can pick up a textbook. And I'm like, yeah, but who can read all of this stuff and absorb it the way you have? So he's an absolute genius when it comes to playing in this sandbox. What intrigued me about this technology is that it doesn't fall into one vertical. If this was strictly a waste to energy or a waste to a waste mitigation project or something like that, I don't think it would have the legs that it could have. But what we have here are essentially 7 different products that these Earth Power Lodges can produce. You take on the front end, you take any kind of organic waste, sawmill waste, crop waste, food processing waste, any kind of an organic waste, put it in the front end. You can charge tipping fees at the front end. And then out of that, you get energy carbon credits because it is carbon negative and it runs completely off grid. Biochar, a wood vinegar, which is an organic pesticide. The algae is then converted into a organic liquid fertilizer. And like Michael said in the documentary, energy is the byproduct. That's the waste product. If you could sell that back to the grid, that's something else. So that's what intrigued me about the whole operation. And we need to bring this to Canada.
I love it. And well, yeah, exactly. When he said that the electricity can be offered to 100 homes and that's a waste byproduct. That is incredible.
Well, you think about it, we harvest methane off 2 parts. The Dragon, when you cook something at such a high temperature, methane is one of the products that is kicked out of that. So we harvest that methane, use that in a generator to power energy. On the back end, as the algae is converted to the liquid fertilizer, it also kicks off methane. So that methane is harvested as well. So we have 2 different sources of methane that can be used in generators.
So now to bring this to Canada, where are you at in regards to that being something that could happen within 1 year?
Well, I'm going to fire it up again right now. Michael actually, when he shifted and did the shifted his focus into the Earth Power Lodge, basically it was an 2.0 version of his technology. He's learned so much in the previous 12 years that he is now incorporating all of his learnings into this next version of the Earth Power Lodge. So I call it the 2.0 version. What I really need to do is get Michael to be able to come to Canada so he can actually work with me on this. We're doing everything we can remotely, sending engineering designs and drawings and information back and forth right now, setting up our consulting company, and then looking for sites where we can actually do feasibility projects for Whitecourt, Drayton Valley, any place that's got a sawmill or any place that has an excess amount of organic waste, and they're all across the country. Canada produces 200 million tons of organic waste annually from various sources, and we need 2,000 tons to run the Earth Power Lodge. So they're very scalable, decentralized energy, decentralized processing, using local equipment, local people, and producing local products out of waste.
Tanis, do you have anything to share that what you've discovered in regards to Whitecourt?
Nothing really. I mean, there's a couple of sites that I have in mind since I talked to him. I definitely brought it to our council, and they're very excited about it. And I think it, because of, we're also thinking of doing at least 70 acres of hemp farming. Greg also said that the hemp, waste off of doing the crops is an excellent dragon. So, I mean, as soon as we get things ready to roll, I mean, we could probably start the foundation before winter. That's all I got to say. I hope that can happen. Hey, Grant.
That is the goal. We should be able to get one of these built and up and running and producing revenue within 10 to 12 months.
Amazing.
Thank you, Tanis. Who is it? Sherry.
Thank you. Do you have a cost of what it costs to build one of these? Is there
we believe it's going to be around. We believe it's going to be around $3 million to build one of these. We still have yet to apply all the Canadian metrics to it. Of course, building one of these biorefineries in Whitefish, Montana, has very different economics than building it here in, let's say, Leduc or someplace where we've got a lot of people and a lot of manufacturing facilities sitting on the sidelines waiting to be used. So we need to get the first one built so we can apply some Canadian numbers to it.
And do you have investors already, or is this something Lifeforce would just pay for outright kind of thing? Do we know?
Well, I don't know how Lifeforce works, so we'll discuss that. Michael is acting as the consultant on the project, so he will attend, do the feasibility work, and then help you design it, work it through. But the goal is to get local people building it, local people running it, local people running the entire operation, management right down to the people working on a day-to-day basis. So it's really, we're trying to work with people in local markets to make them a turnkey solution.
Thank you. So just one last piece to it. You said the electricity can power 100 homes. How much food can it produce? How many homes would the food itself be able to produce in the greenhouse?
The greenhouse is about 10,000 square feet. That's what we've allocated for, the algae grows on the floor, as you can imagine, in pools. And so it all depends on how many racks and the kind of hydroponic growing you can grow above it. But because we produce so much energy, we can plug in other greenhouses into it. So there's all these other technologies that we can plug into this. For example, crop drying technologies at the front end to help give us a drier product putting in the dragon. Hemp, because it's very sinewy, will have to be processed a little bit differently before it goes into the dragon as well. So there are, we would have to get it built up and running and see what the needs are. And each one will be customized for the location that it's going to be at. If you need the organic fertilizer, we'll just be, pumping out the organic fertilizer. If energy is the is what is required, then we will make sure that the energy is the top priority.
Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Sherry. And yes, it's Michael Smith. Thank you, Charlene. Okay, Alan.
Hello, Grant. It's Alan.
Hey, Alan.
Thanks for sending me all that information. I finally got through a lot of it. Excuse me. I was just kind of wondering, you know, in the documents it said you need something like a 2,000-gallon propane tank. Is that just for startup only?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Once it's up and running, it should be able to power itself. These things are designed to run off grid.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I was looking at a place to put this, and I think that Sundry mill would be really good because they haul lumber from all over the place, you know, and look at some real estate down the road. But we're in the preliminary budgets right now, so I'm not sure when we'll have cash flow to do that. You know, I'm also looking at that Plasco out of Ottawa. They are the same kind of idea. It's a closed system, but it basically produces enough fuel to probably fuel the whole town, right? And then we could split the waste up a little bit because you can't burn plastics and that sort of stuff, but Plasco can put metal, plastic, all that stuff. So we'll just sort some of this stuff. So I think it'd be a great marriage to have both you guys on board. And then,
yeah, like I said, we can work with all sorts of various technologies, and we'll customize it for the area that we're in. Anywhere along the eastern slopes, wherever there's a sawmill, there's always a mountain of additional waste that we could tap into.
Okay, sounds really good. I'm quite excited about it. I basically looked at it all, and thank God I got through, because it took me a month. Took me a month and about 6 or 7 emails to get through, I guess. So that's fine. Okay.
Thank you so much, Alan. Colleen.
So we have horizontal grinders, and we have a mulching company, and we live on a farm in Parkland County. So maybe our place would be a good site for one.
It sounds like it, yeah. We just need a good steady supply of waste, bio waste, organic waste, and we can put these anywhere. Now, if you have lots of waste, like if you're a warehouse or a sawmill or something like that, these are scalable. So we'll build the first one. Once it's maxed out, then we can add a second one, a third one, a fourth one. One dragon can feed 3, maybe 4 photobioreactors or greenhouses. So to scale up, we don't have to duplicate it 100%.
So in some clients that we've done some grinding for, he's on a farm by Penhold, Alberta, so by Red Deer. And he had to be a registered waste facility. Is that part of this requirement?
I'm not exactly sure. I know that these would be great for farms because you could use the energy, the biochar, and the soil amendments, right? You can put that right back into your fields. So
that's what he does. That's what he does with all of what people dump at his place. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We have to make sure that, you know, it's CSA approved, and you know, all of the various bodies that govern this will approve this. So once we get the first prototype, Canadian prototype done, then we'll be bringing in, you know, all of the various authorities, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and so on and so forth, to make sure that everything is the way it should be and approved.
I wonder if we do it through Life Force, if we really need that stuff, Karen.
Absolutely. We're talking about it in our plan council right now as well. So if you're in Alberta and you want to talk about this, we're going to be talking about it tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on our Tuesday call. So
something else that I did a few years ago when I got serious about bringing the technology here after the oil went into the tank, pardon the expression, in 2014, was I hired a grant researcher at the time. And I said, okay, here's the technology, here's the various verticals that it falls under. Find us what's available out there. And he shot back a 129-page document of various grants that are available for this, because we fall into so many different categories, whether it be labor or agriculture or forestry or whatever. So we would do that again. So whether it be this organization or somebody else, a grant writer would certainly be a part of the equation, because there's more and more government startup and dollar for dollar matching funds available than ever before.
Yeah, in regards to Lay First Canada, we're really stepping out of the whole government system. So anything to do with the government.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so we're creating our own financial system that's for the people, by the people, and it's a very different system that Kim Gogan is creating. So right now we're putting together our projects that are key projects in regards to needs assessment. What do the people in our communities need right now? And to me, this is one of the top needs in regards to for food supply, everything. And another one is education. So these are two of my main projects, and I know that everybody else here feels the same way in many ways. I'm really glad that you're here, Grant. Simon, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I was actually going to ask Grant about the input energy, because if you're burning things at 1,000 degrees, but I think you already answered that when it was brought up. So
good. Thank you, Simon. Dwayne.
Hey, Grant, welcome. I'm glad you're here because, wow, this technology is great. Now, I wanted to know if there was someone already on the ground doing something to bring this in. But you've already answered my question, which was the scalability. And I wanted to know whether or not these would be used in series, or if there was a version 2.0 max for a bigger application. But you kind of already answered those.
Yeah, one at a time. And yeah, we'll scale up that way, because like I said, to scale up or to expand, we don't have to go another 100% investment. We can just add the components where we're slowest at.
Excellent. Thank you.
So Sandra's asked a question in regards to land. What is the land requirement? Tanis has mentioned already 2 to 5 acres.
That's right, 2 to 5 acres. 2 acres would be the footprint. We would like a 5-acre parcel, just for storage of equipment, storage of extra biomass if we have to truck it in, that sort of thing. But the footprint is very small.
Tanis.
Hey, Grant. There was actually something that came my way, and they're called hemp blocks. And I was wondering if that's maybe something that we could look at as well. I know that you were talking about another Calgary or south of Calgary company that was going to be doing the panels and stuff too. But if we can keep it Albertan, that would be great too. Have you heard of the hemp blocks before?
Yes, hemp blocks, hempcrete. We know the kind of, hemp is used in making dashboards for cars, for crying out loud. There's a company in, I believe it's in Leduc, that that's doing incredible things with hemp. So yeah, the more we could use local products, the easier it is on the planet.
Agreed. Thank you.
I would love to find out more about what they're doing in Leduc, Grant.
I'll look it up and send it to you.
Thank you. Brian.
Just curious if you're aware of any negative downsides to this that would cause any negative reaction to this if we get started on something. Was there going to be some criticism in any regard?
Yes, from the major utility suppliers, those big companies that we would be carving our market out of. So yeah, there's always going to be some pushback on anything that is groundbreaking and disruptive as something like this. But we're not building a $500 million refinery here. We're building decentralized energy, fertilizer, and food production facilities that will be networked through technology and monitored remotely. So yeah, there's going to be pushback.
Yeah, that's pushback, but I don't find that to be negative if it's from a giant utility that has been robbing our money for so long anyways. I was just looking if there was any other negative downsides to this, and I didn't think that there would be. I just wanted to ask, make sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Stacy, do you want to share?
I'll just share a little bit of input.
Yes.
Yeah, I live out this way, and we've really, I've dodged a bullet, but Litany sure has taken the blow. I've had some really good feedback though from my other half, who's actually right down in the ground in the middle of the fire driving a water truck. But he says that the amount of love and outpouring from humanity is almost overwhelming. He says the guys are so high with adrenaline fighting back this fire that it's like they're smiling, and it's an odd situation, but they're all banding together like, you know, with amazing strength. And there's been van trailers full of food show up that people have just bought out of the goodness of their heart to feed the firemen. And yeah, so on that front, it's going well. But there still are some real issues. It's a real result of what's going on. I think we all kind of know there's some motivations in behind it, and everything sort of added up between the residential school issues and the vaccine spiking around here. That yeah, it's a very sad situation. So if we can bring it all together and bring them a gift, anyone that's out there that's an architect and has some inspiration, let's do something for these people and put smiles back on their faces. Hey, and BC might be in a position to do that really quickly.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Stacy. I know that Susan
You're welcome.
Stanfield started a Rehome Lytton project. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, thank
You know,
you.
I can see communities being built around one of these. Various, whether it be the entire town or communities within a town. Why not build around your decentralized energy supplier?
We have to get together.
Can you explain more about the algae, Grant?
Sure. Something that Michael likes to do is he likes to grow algae that is indigenous to the area that it's in. There's 400 essentially different types of algae out in the world. He tries to grow algae that is from that particular area. Of course, you know, the CO2 from the dragon is fed into the algae pools. The algae grows exponentially fast because it's in a high CO2 environment. So we can harvest algae, the various pools, on a day-to-day basis. We'll just go around the greenhouse. One a day could be harvested and then fed into the digesters, the anaerobic digesters, and convert it into the soil amendment. Algae as it is actually has more energy in it than a pound of coal. A pound of algae has more energy than a pound of coal. There's tremendous benefits in the algae, but the algae is very hard. You just can't take algae and put it on your fields and hope that it's going to feed the soil. Because algae has a very, I guess for lack of a better phrase, it has a very hard skin, a hard shell to it. So it has to be broken down. So as you see the documentary, what Michael has done here by using the microbes and the enzymes and the anaerobic digesters accelerates that process. So what would take nature hundreds of years, he's doing in a matter of weeks, naturally using natural occurring enzymes and microbes.
I think it's so incredible in regards to the algae and how it's more powerful than coal. Thank you. I think we're going to be learning so much as we continue to, you know, have these conversations and continue to move forward. Stacy.
I just wanted to ask if Michael had made any attempts at drawing off any of the algae biofuel.
Yes, actually, like I said, in the anaerobic digesters at the end, it produces a lot of methane, and so that's the kind of fuel that he's using.
Okay, so in what kind of quantity is he able to get out of it?
Well, enough to power 100 homes. Again,
Awesome.
I don't have those actual statistics in front of me, but we won't actually know that until, you know, we start measuring the metrics of what one of these can produce when we get it up and running. Our focus here is to regenerate the soil. So taking the algae and turning it into a biofuel is not, we don't believe, the most efficient use of the algae. Turning it into a soil amendment that feeds the microbes in the ground and creates an environment where organic farming can thrive, and getting the pesticides and the chemicals out of our food system is really the biggest priority for us.
Okay, because it's interesting. We were looking at some kind of adjoinment of these biofuel stations with trains, you know, because we're wanting to revitalize some of our short rail runs that have kind of gone away and astray. And, you know, there's always, you know, farms and areas around some of these short rail systems where you could deploy maybe a smaller biofuel station and be able to fuel the trains along the way. Is that
Sure.
conceptually possible?
Yes, it is possible. If, like I said, you know, we'll customize the Earth Power Lodges based on what the immediate need is in the area. If it's soil amendments or if it's energy, that's one thing. But, you know, turning the algae into a biofuel, that's an easy, you know, convert. We're not talking technology that hasn't been tried or invented before. We're just producing the product that can be used in it.
Yeah, I worked for a company called Valcent back in the day when I worked with public companies, and we were producing algae biofuel at El Paso, Texas. Unfortunately, the project died because the project leads died. So it kind of fell away. And then many other companies started to emerge trying to do the same thing. But I'm really happy to see that you've used it for more of a power-oriented circuit than biofuels, but I sure would love to look into the biofuel thing for trains for sure.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I would not be involved in this if this was a one-trick pony. If it was just energy or just food or just waste management, it wouldn't have the same cachet as having, you know, 7 different outputs.
You bet. Right on. Love it.
Thank you, Stacy. Lynn.
Yeah, Grant, is there a plan for outbuildings? Like, because, you know, Canada, we're only doing agriculture a few months of the year and snow the rest. So would you store the biofuel and the biochar? And I mean, the food I can understand will always have a market, but what do you do in the seasons that we're not farming? What does Michael do?
Well, so far he sells everything he produces, so there's no need to storage. So, you know, if we have to store it, we have to store it. But the whole idea here is to have a network of Earth Power Lodges where the biochar and the soil amendments come to a central distribution hub and distributed from there. We don't expect that individual owners would be responsible for the marketing of all of their products that come out of there. By having a central hub, then we guarantee supply. So, you know, if one Earth Power Lodge, you know, falters or whatever, you know, they're not going to lose their whole market because others will pick up the slack. So there'll be an entire back-end marketing and distribution system for the various companies.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Lynn. I do love the name Earth Power Lodge.
Oh, I just want to say how delighted I am to hear this. I sent this documentary to you, Karen, a couple of weeks ago, and I'd seen it, you know, a number of years ago, and I'm just thinking, oh, I hope there's some brains that can put this into motion, and I'm just so delighted to hear Grant and all the people. I'm in Vancouver. I think I'd like to be in Alberta. Anyway, thank you so much.
And it's so amazing. I received 3 emails within the 48-hour period with that documentary link. Synchronicity. I love it.
Well, you know, I know the producers of the documentary, of course, through Michael. There's a sequel being produced or in the works, and I think we should be a part of that sequel.
100%. That'd be so great, Grant. Rick.
Is this sold as a franchise or is it owned outright by the purchaser?
It's owned outright by the purchaser.
Okay.
And then there will be ongoing support and upgrades and things like that through a licensing agreement.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. That's a great question. So as I mentioned, it's really time for each province to focus on growing their own food supply so that we can stop relying on the control structure that's in place and really take back our sovereign power. This is, I do believe, how we're going to do it, like one of the most powerful ways that we're going to do it. I believe that every province needs to have their own food supply center, whatever we want to call it. And Grant, I'm really glad that you've come back into my life, and please say hello to Colleen. And we're just delighted. This is exciting, and we're very solution focused, forward thinking at Life Force Canada. And I do look forward to definitely having future conversations about this. So, and again, thank you, Tanis, for bringing Grant on tonight and connecting all of us. I love it. Oh, before we go, Gerald has a question.
Yeah, this is rather new to me, but where can I get the best source of information on it so I become better educated? And I'm from Ontario as well.
Ontario, okay.
You can connect with me directly on this.
Grant, do you want to just put your email in the chat?
I'm just gonna have to find it here.
I think there's going to be a few emails you're going to be receiving, Grant.
Sure. My email is in there. I welcome conversations about this, and I would dearly love to help out wherever I can.
Thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Tanis.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when Grant and I were talking, it just reminded me when you guys were talking about the documentary and that there's going to be part 2 coming out. But we also talked about how we would have people coming from all over just to come and see like the first EPL and doing like school tours, because I mean, there's so many different parts of the EPL that the children could learn from. You know, like there's the biology, and I mean, there's just so much stuff to it, isn't there, Grant?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, there's the biology, there's the physics, there's the chemistry, there's engineering, there's so many disciplines that can be brought into this. And you know, I'm a native Albertan. There's so much talent here in this province that this should be built here.
Right. And we also talked about how, you know, with the oil and gas not doing, you know, as well. And, you know, I worked as a as a store manager for Mark's for 14 and a half years. And I talked to these guys that worked, you know, 28 days out of the month and 18-hour days. They never saw their families. So let's give them jobs that they can do. They can have a family life, and they don't have to be gone all the time. So
yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
Thank you so much, Grant.
Thank you so much, Grant, and look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you everyone for being here. For those of you who need to say goodbye, again, I'll be sending out emails in regards to all of our other think tanks. So if these projects are something that you're really passionate about, we've got law enforcement, security, we're looking for people to really get involved and help make these projects not just here, but make them a reality. And we need your support. We're all in this. We've never been here before. And so we're breaking ground. And it's a very exciting journey that we're all on. And we're just really blessed to have everyone here on the journey with us. So thank you again.